So Keir Starmer has just suggested that he's going to U-turn on those cuts to winter fuel payments. Around 10 million pensioners lost out on the payments after eligibility was restricted. But in the last hour, this news is just coming through, the Prime Minister's told the Commons he wants to make more pensioners eligible for winter fuel payments. He added the government will only make decisions that it can afford, and it will therefore look at this as part of a fiscal event. In other words, I think he's going to change the threshold. So it might well be that you thought you weren't going to get your winter fuel allowance and now you will end up getting it. So if you want to give us a call about that, please do. 0207 86 22 22. Tell me, Eve, whether you think this is a good idea.
Of course it was a good idea. I don't know why they started on the other route. I mean, the people that we all sympathise are people who are having real trouble heating and eating, as we know, and why you should pick them out. And you don't actually save that much money.
And Carrie, are you surprised by this? Because the Labour government got stuck into this almost instantly, didn't they, the moment they came into power? And despite its huge unpopularity, seemed to be sticking fast to it.
Yeah, it seems a really odd U-turn at this point. I wonder, it makes me think there must be something else going on, why they've suddenly decided the elderly matter.
Or do you think it just looked so appalling that more and more Labour MPs were getting a great deal of pushback from their constituents and finding it very hard to defend?
I think that's true. I think a lot of Labour MPs were getting a really hard time from their constituents. And I think generally in the press, everybody said, this is crazy. I mean, these are people who have probably voted your way for many, many years. And also, one of the great things in the country is it does help people at the time they need it.
Also, Carrie, I suppose it's not at all difficult to grasp the concept of an elderly person struggling financially, thinking, oh my gosh, shall I turn the heating on or shan't I turn the heating on? We can all grasp it. It's not a difficult one, is it, to empathise with, understand. Some of the policies are so complicated, you don't know what the hell's going on. As with the fish and the EU, you're like, oh my God, what's actually happening with the fishing rights? What's going on? What does it mean? But this, winter fuel payments to elderly people is not hard to get the hang of, is it?
A couple of weeks ago, on Jeremy Vine, actually, we were discussing this, and there was a young man, or old man rather, that called up who was sitting in his blankets with no heating, saying, I'm freezing. And we can't have that. All right, the very needy were still provided for, but there was this middle section of elderly people who were told, well, you've got to fill out forms, you've got to go online. They're not going to be able to do all of that.
And also lots of elderly people who are far too proud ever to dream of going into debt.
Yes.
Really, in advance of it happening, turning off the heating just because they didn't want to find...
And just got worried about it. Where was the heating?
Worried.
And, of course, the heating bills have never been so high.
Absolutely. Let's talk to Roger. He's on the line in East Sussex. You look into that camera over there, you'll see. Roger, hello.
Hello, Vanessa.
How do you feel about this news?
Well, I wonder whether they have the right and the law to do it. Because I recall that when the winter fuel allowance was first introduced by Gordon Brown, there was a means test. That was thrown out by the EU under the rules of the court. Now, I'm not aware of any change in the law which has removed that EC arrangement, in which case we should be paying it anyway to all the pensioners, and there should be no means test, if I'm right that law still stands.
Well, you might be right, but that's not at all what's going to happen. I mean, Keir Starmer, who is a lawyer, as we know, and, public prosecutor extraordinaire and probably knows the nuts and bolts, seems to think he's on safe turf, doesn't he, reorganising the threshold. But I want to know whether you think that this is a good idea, whether you're relieved to hear this.
I challenge the fact of whether it's legal, and that I don't mind whether he's a lawyer or not. It's quite clear that the Labour Party have avoided doing all sorts of things for us. We've never allowed to vote in the Lisbon Treaty, for instance, which would have made all this go away a long time ago.
All right, Roger, thank you so much. Let's go to Tony in Birmingham. Tony, you were one of the people who really was going to feel the pinch of this, weren't you?
Well, yes, I mean, it's one of those, they never mentioned anything about this in the election run-up, and they've got this in by the back door, if you ask me, and no matter what this Labour government do, they're always sort of doing what they want to do, never mind asking what the people want, and they're supposed to sort of support us.
Are you feeling reassured by this breaking news? Do you feel a bit better about it now, or are you still nervous?
No. No, I don't think it's going to get any better at all. I mean, I've been working since I was 15 and I've paid into this, all my life. And I'm on a basic pension now. I get a bit of pension credit, but I still struggle each winter with the fuel. And I can't afford to have my immersion heater on every day. And I have one bar of electric fire on in the winter. And I'm on my own, and I can't afford all these electric bills. It's ridiculous.
Well, I'm hoping that this gives you a little bit of leeway and this makes you feel slightly more relaxed about it and slightly less, tightly stretched over it, Tony. I hope that this breaking news this morning will ease your mind a little bit. Thank you very much indeed for calling. I mean, it's clear, isn't it, even, Carrie, that, Tony's still worried. Roger feels very sceptical. We haven't had a call yet from somebody saying, oh, phew, this is a relief. People aren't saying that.
They've lost people's trust.
That's what I think. I think they've lost trust in politics altogether. And, you watch the comings and goings and people, of course, have got children who are now getting unemployed because of what they've done with the national insurance. It's a very difficult time.
It is a very difficult time. That's an understatement. Although Sherry in Cardiff, I'm glad to hear, is feeling a bit more positive about things. Hello, Sherry. Thanks for calling.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for having me on the show.
Pleasure. So how are you feeling about this news on the U-turn on the winter fuel allowance?
Well, I think Sir Keir Starmer has got a lot of guts to do a U-turn. He's shown that he's made a mistake and now he's willing to undo it.
Right. And the sort of scepticism we're getting from other callers and people feeling you can't really trust them. And he's only been Prime Minister since July. It's a pretty sharp U-turn, isn't it? Pretty quickly. I don't know whether it inspires in most people confidence. You think it shows courage. I wonder whether some people think it shows a lack of conviction, really.
Well, that's what people think of other people is totally by the by. You've got to go on what people are saying right here, right now. And right now he's making a change, which is a very, very positive thing for people that can't afford it. Can I just say that my aunt and uncle are multimillionaires. Yeah. They are very blessed in all their, they've got children, they've got grandchildren, they've got a very, very happy and prosperous life. Yeah. They used to receive the winter fuel payment and it was a huge joke. They would go and spend their £300 on a meal in an a la carte restaurant. And that would be their sort of money gone. And there's people like previous callers who they may be sceptical, but this is a good thing, and it should be welcomed because people really are struggling, and it should be mean tested as well. Now I know that causes a lot of problems.
It's always very expensive. That's the problem with means testing. It's cumbersome, complicated and incredibly expensive. And the last thing you want to do is obliterate whatever it is you were supposed to be saving in the first place by spending the money on means testing. That's why it's always, isn't it, Carrie, so complicated?
I'd be interested, Sherry, do you think that your family could pay it back? Like in terms of, I think, why can we not opt to donate back? Mm-hmm. Like if we are wealthy, why is that not one of the options? Just donate this £300 straight back, maybe give it to somebody who needs it. I feel like just attacking the most vulnerable people in our society has got to stop. We've had the same thing with the EHCPs, with children with SEND in the last week. It's like, let's take our eyes off the elderly and now let's go for the most vulnerable children. This has to stop.
And I should just tell you, we're doing our valiant best to try and work out, is it going to be means tested? How are they going to do it? Yes. How are they going to fund it? Well, apparently the government has no idea. I don't know whether that reassures you. They've given themselves until the autumn budget to sort out the nuts and the bolts and the mechanics of this. I bet you anything that people watching us right now, our beautiful viewers, would know exactly how to do it and wouldn't need to wait till the flipping autumn and a budget to work it all out. I mean, and also you wonder a bit, don't you, about making an announcement about something that you really don't know how you're going to bring about, Eve. I mean, as a, Fleet Street editor, I doubt very much you'd splash something on one of your front pages if you didn't really know what the story was, would you?
Well, I think that's the problem with, everything is so complex, and announcing things and then saying we'll have this ready in 5 months' time sort of instills a bit of worry in you, and people will still think, will I get it? Exactly. Will I be one of the lucky ones? And you undo almost all the good you've done by saying we're going to give it back. I agree with you. We should be able to donate it. I agree with you that we've got to worry about the poorest in society. Because I sort of think with now digitalisation and all the rest of it, they feel slightly left behind.
I mean, Carrie, the reason that we haven't got callers ringing in, smiling through the television at us and saying, hooray, good, I'm so relieved, I'm gonna get my payment, good, phew, this is much better, is because, as Eve says, nobody really knows if they're going to get it or not.
They
so you
don't know
could
if they're gonna get
say,
it, and they don't trust.
But you could say for the optics, how does this look? Why is this announcement happening when people watching, hearing the news, don't even know whether they can celebrate, feel relieved, whether then it doesn't apply to them or it does apply to them? You think, now who's thinking this through? Who are the geniuses behind this who will allow an announcement which is so confusing that the government doesn't know how it's going to implement it and voters don't know, are they in or are they out?
I agree. I totally agree. And you think, are people in politics, and by the way, I don't just mean Labour, I mean all over through politics, have they got parents who are going through this? Do they know people who are going through this? You feel that politics is London-bound, quite middle class, quite well-educated, as opposed to lots and lots of people in this country.
I mean, it's an extraordinary situation, isn't it? We're making this announcement, a breaking news story, and we can't bring you the news you want, which is, does it apply to you or not? Will you get your winter fuel allowance or won't you? Because the government is so confused that it can't tell us, so we can't tell you, so nobody knows. I mean, it is a peculiar situation, isn't it? And you would think the sort of people who used to be, Bernard Ingham, I don't know, Alistair Campbell, I'm not sure who, but, this kind of spin doctors who would make sure the story came out when it was ready,
complete,
when you could understand it, when you knew what you were doing, so that the voter would get it. Where are they? Were they having a good sleep today? Or what the hell are they doing?
So, Vanessa, why do you think they've done this?
I think they've done it because it looked so awful.
Yeah.
It felt awful. And most people, I think, who vote Labour didn't vote when they voted for a Labour government, didn't expect them to take the winter fuel payment from pensioners. It felt nasty and grasping and inhumane and not in keeping with Labour philosophy, I think. It's only my personal view. And
so why not a month later change it?
And so I think that in order to sort of look better and seem better and try to undo the damage, they've rushed out this announcement without thinking it through properly and without realising, I think, how distressing it will be to people watching us right now who don't know whether it applies to them or not.
Yes.
What's the point of it? To do it so poorly and in such a rushed way, I think it wasn't thought through, and I think that's a very poor thing for government because they're meant to have all the facilities and all the people working for them to make sure they don't confuse people. Anyway, that's what I think. I only said it because you asked me, otherwise I was going to keep that to myself. But anyway...